ladies and gentlemen, and residents of Second Life. Welcome to the Semicircle. I'm V10. So last week we were live with Curioso Paravane discussing the latest dance moves to hit Tides Cafe. Today, however, we bring you a special report sparked by an article published in the Daily Mail. This article suggested that people who are bullied in the workplace or at school may in fact not be able to escape their tormentors in the virtual world. It is true that there are many benefits to using technology and the internet. However, with 900 million users and a rise in teenagers' reliance on the internet, it's important to address the issue of cyberbullying and Facebook. So today, to help me tackle this matter, please welcome our special guest in bullying, G. Mull. Thanks so much for being here today, G. Mulls.
No worries, V10.
So, G. Mulls, could you please explain what makes this topic so controversial? I mean, I don't want to trivialize or anything, but isn't schoolyard bullying all a part of growing up? Or is cyberbullying completely different phenomenon? In fact, what is the difference between traditional schoolyard bullying and cyberbullying anyway?
As many of you may know, bullying is a widespread problem in Australian schools and communities, and has a negative impact on a student's right to learn in a safe and secure environment. There seems to be a common misconception that bullying is a normal part of childhood development. However, many studies have proven that bullying can be particularly distressing to victims, affecting their ability to participate and enjoy school, sport, and other group activities. Furthermore, bullying may have long-term academic, physical, and emotional consequences on all parties involved: the bullies, their victims, and even those watching. I would say that there is nothing normal about that. Whilst there is no universal definition of bullying, most researchers have adopted the definition of bullying behaviour provided by Olweus that states, a person is being bullied when he or she is exposed repeatedly over time to negative actions on the part of one or more persons. But cyberbullying, V10, that's a slightly different kettle of fish. Cyberbullying is exactly what the name implies. It is bullying which is performed online. Digital media and technology are used to communicate false, embarrassing, or hostile information about another person. It is the most common online risk for all teens and is often as a result of peer pressure. According to a recent survey from the Courier Mail, cyberbullying affects 1 in 10 Australian teenagers.
Wow, cyberbullying affects 1 in 10 teenagers? That's a shocking statistic. Why does cyberbullying exist?
Well, V10, cyberbullying allows the smallest individual to exercise power. A number of reasons have been suggested as to why teens cyberbully. However, the most commonly occurring reasons include bullying in an attempt to be funny or to hurt or embarrass the victim. Cyberbullying also comes about as a result of peer pressure from other teenagers. Cyberbullying, according to Professor Donna Cross, who's from the Child Health Promotion Research Centre at Edith Cowan University, is very much related to age, and bullying through social networking sites is more common as students get older. So ultimately, cyberbullies share similar underlying motives to that of traditional bullies and are often insecure people who are experiencing some form of issue in their life.
So what is the link between Facebook and cyberbullying then? I thought Facebook was simply a social network to get connected with long-lost furries and to look at people's photos.
Well, definitely social networking sites are utilised by youths and adults on a daily basis. I'm sure you've heard of MySpace and Twitter as well, but the most popular of these sites is Facebook. Since its launch in 2004, the social networking website has taken the world by storm, with users utilising Mark Zuckerberg's creation to keep in contact with one another. It's now seen as an integral part of almost every teenager in Australia's life, so there's no doubt that Facebook has revolutionised the way in which individuals communicate with one another. Networking, information sharing, communication and messaging. However, it does have its drawbacks. Bullying is more prevalent than ever, with innocent individuals being targeted via Facebook. In fact, in a study completed by the Ipsos Social Research Institute, found that out of 24 countries, Australia came in at number 1 in the world for bullying on Facebook.
Wow. Okay, what I find to be most interesting is that the way in which traditional bullying has morphed into cyberbullying, and then how cyberbullying has developed since the use of Facebook.
Yeah, very true. Well, historically, you could say that cyberbullying was confined and limited to online forums and gaming platforms. These domains provided for anonymity between the harasser and the victim with the use of their online avatars. Whilst this bullying was, and still is, harmful for those who have developed an emotional connection to their avatars, the development of social networking sites has catapulted cyberbullying into a new domain. These websites allow users to create a personal profile, upload real photos, and add real friends. In fact, many users create user groups to categorize their friends, such as workplace, university, or close friends. Cyberbullying, which occurs on these websites, can often have a damaging effect on the victim, invading both their personal space and, in some cases, altering the perception of those closest to them.
G-Miles, I think we should cross live to your Associate School Principal of Second Life High and President of the Anti-Schoolyard Bullying in Australia Association, Mookies. What's your take on all this, Mookies?
Well, I'm no cyberbullying expert, but I do understand kids and their behaviour. It's far too often in which you read in the paper about these kids who have become victims of both bullying and cyberbullying. For example, earlier this year, Catherine Bernard, 17, took her own life after schoolyard and Facebook bullying. In January, Shanice Erkin, 14, committed suicide after being bullied both online and at school. In 2009, Alam Halkik, 17, took his life after a former friend bullied him through text message. And, in the same year, Chanel Ray, 14, committed suicide after receiving threatening messages over the internet. The worst thing is, all of these deaths could have been prevented if appropriate safeguards and systems were in place. Now, I'm not saying that we should place a ban on Facebook. It is without a doubt an integral part of almost every teenager's life. It has revolutionized the way in which we communicate with one another, allowing for networking, information sharing, communication, and messaging. However, I do think caution needs to be taken about educating our youth in how to use it properly. Some examples of inappropriate usage would be leaving offensive comments on another user's Facebook page. These comments may be constructed over a period of time, providing the bully with the opportunity to orchestrate a more harmful message and to recruit other individuals to contribute to the bullying. It's quite sad, but Facebook is being used to target innocent individuals.
In your opinion, would you say that cyberbullying is more damaging to its victims?
It's impossible to say, really. From a psychological standpoint, both cause harm and distress to the victim, just through the use of different mediums. It has been argued that cyberbullies may be desensitized from the harm they are causing, as they do not see the emotional reaction of their conduct, and, as a result, may go beyond the boundaries of traditional bullying. In fact, a colleague of mine named Willard identified 8 forms of cyberbullying that were particularly prevalent on Facebook. These included flaming, which involves anger online exchanges, harassment, the repeated sending of nasty messages, and denigration, which is the act of spreading rumors or gossip about an individual. Another form of cyberbullying he describes as outing, which is the sharing of an individual's secret. Finally, impersonation of another is used by many to victimize the individual. There is no doubt that once something is posted on the internet, it is virtually impossible to remove. As such, one of the real dangers many Facebook users encounter is identity theft. By posting information on Facebook, users are making it all too easy for criminals to access their private information. Another real threat is the posting of photos and checking internet locations, allowing for cyber stalking.
Who would have thought that a website that has so many great features to offer could be used in such a terrible way by some individuals? So, what do you think some of the consequences of cyberbullying are?
Any type of bullying can elicit strong emotional responses leading to detrimental outcomes. Serious psychological harm can occur, including depression, anxiety, self-esteem issues, and suicidal intentions. I think that many teenagers who are cyberbullied feel alienated, affecting both their cognitive development as well as their emotional and social well-being. There has been research to suggest that cyberbullying increases the likelihood that a teenage victim will commit or attempt to commit suicide. For example, the message that Chanel Ray received made her want to die, and she subsequently killed herself a week later. Being a victim of cyberbullying isn't just limited to self-harm, however, with a reported 30% of cyberbullying victims experiencing anger and desires to take revenge against their attacker. As a result, it has been found that victims of cyberbullying are more likely to engage in criminal conduct than their non-bullied peers. Additionally, there was the recent Twitter scandal with Charlotte Dawson, who was admitted to hospital after receiving relentless and vicious messages that called for her death. Dawson was quoted as saying, "They just got the best of me," and that she experienced a sense of helplessness. It's obvious that cyberbullies hide behind the screen to become more aggressive bullies.
Thanks for that, Mookies. So, Gmails, what's the game plan regarding cyberbullying for the rest of the society?
In June 2011, Victoria enacted its anti-bullying legislation, which is known as Brodie's Law. This law was introduced after a tragic event in 2006, where 19-year-old Brodie Panlock committed suicide after relentless physical and psychological bullying by her co-workers. These changes to the Crimes Act in Victoria introduced a 10-year prison term for bullying. It has extended the application of the stalking provisions to the Crimes Act 1958 and has broadened the definition of bullying behaviour to include behaviour that could reasonably be expected to cause a victim to engage in self-harm.
But what about the instances of cyberbullying on Facebook where the victim does not take drastic measures to end the bullying, but is still harmed in another way? Outcomes like these are not covered by the legislation, and the damage done is extraordinarily significant and harmful. So, how can we overcome cyberbullying aside from the legislation?
A valid point you make there, V1. It has been suggested that both parents and schools are two of the most influential figures in a teenager's life. As a result, it is important that society recognises them as key players and that they are correctly utilised in helping to tackle cyberbullying. Schools play an important role in containing cyberbullying as they are able to punish students who engage in cyberbullying whilst on the school grounds. In addition, schools have the capacity to educate students about the safe use of the internet and the harmful effects of cyberbullying. It is, though, difficult for schools to have control over what occurs outside school, particularly as Facebook does allow for individuals to act anonymously and discreetly. Many students, too, do not feel comfortable approaching their school with their personal problems. However, it's not just schools that need to tackle this issue. In addition, a teenager's home environment and upbringing will influence bullying behaviour. Former Victorian Premier and the current chairman of Beyond Blue, Jeff Kennett, is adamant that cyberbullying occurs all too often and that it isn't the school's responsibility in how children treat each other, it's their upbringing and therefore parental responsibility. Thus, there needs to be parental involvement and interest.
However, most laws don't account for technological advances, and surely this cannot deal with aspects of cyberbullying.
Look, that is very true, V110. In the future, lawmakers will need to balance the need for consequences with the fundamental rights of expression and parental autonomy. However, further criminalisation, some may argue, may impinge on an individual's right to freedom of expression, as outlined in the Victorian Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities.
Well, that's all we have time for today, folks. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope to see you back on the show soon.
Yeah, thanks, V110. I've had a great time.
As a result, cyberbullying via Facebook has not only been used as an extension of face-to-face bullying, but has introduced even more methods of bullying. Technology is pervasive in our lives and is with us all the time. Laptops and mobile phones mean that individuals are only a few clicks away from accessing both their own and other profiles. This means that an individual's capacity to both send and receive derogatory and nasty comments is available around the clock. It's clear that we need to deal with this issue. Feel free to Twitter me, #V110, and let's get this conversation started.